Legends, what do you do when life throws you a curveball? Now, this is guaranteed to happen. You see, once you get into the mindset that life is going good, you have it all worked out, nothing can go wrong, the galaxy, the universe, whatever you want to call it, will throw you a curveball. Chances are that's going to happen. I have got quite a few examples in my life, and I'm going to tell you what I do now when I see a curveball coming at me. I got literally on my birthday this year discovered something that had happened, another curveball, and literally earlier on this week I discovered the true implications of that curveball. So before I tell you my solution to this sort of stuff now, I'm going to give you a few examples of curveballs that have hit me over the years. Now, you may not know this about me, but I am a divorcee. I was married young, early 20s. I thought I had it all worked out. I was married, settled down, house, mortgage, the dog, car, you name it, full-time job, all good. To cut a long story short, the marriage went south. We split up and eventually we got divorced, and that happened. That was a curveball. Thought I had it worked out. Galaxy gave me an ass kicking. You need to look for the silver lining in these things, and I'll explain that a little bit better when I get through all this sort of stuff. So the next big thing that happened was the death of my father. Lost him to cancer, and then on the heels of that I got involved with the religious organisation I was part of up until about 6 years ago at this point. And you know, something that I needed at that time, got involved in this church, off we went. And a few years after losing my father, my mother was diagnosed with leukemia and very swiftly lost her. Now, the curveball that came, obviously both parents going two massive curveballs. The next one that came on top of on actually the day that my mother was buried, a couple of people that I was friendly with at the church turned up and informed me that because I hadn't signed a certain piece of paper somewhere along the line, officially the church wasn't going to offer me any, counselling for the loss of my mother. There's a guy that was there, that was part of his job, was to offer, a little bit of counselling, bereavement counselling for members of the church that lost their parents. So that was a huge curveball on that day, because in my mind it was just like, because I haven't signed a certain piece of paper, I'm not, it's, where's the basic human decency here? Like, it's just not about business here, it's about, people and whatnot. It's like, this guy could have simply sent me a text message to say sorry for your loss. I would have been happy enough with that. But yes, and of course the massive curveball that came from that experience of that church was when I ended up with the dependency on painkillers. And literally, I've covered it in videos before in the past on this channel. You can go back and check that out if you want. But when I came off the painkillers, it was for the first time in 15 years or so, dealing with life without actually being on medication for a back injury, and literally was struggling through my week's work. You have to go out and make money, pay your bills and whatnot. By the time I got to the weekend, onto the couch, literally too sore to drive. So Sunday came around, couldn't go to the church, and the huge curveball then was that everybody just cold shouldered me. Just nobody was talking to me, and it's insane. But you need to look for the the silver lining in these things, I'm going to explain to you what I mean by that. The divorce at the beginning, I thought that was it. Life was over. That's like the worst thing that could have happened to me. And if you've been through a divorce, you'll understand what you go through, the mentality that you get in. You kind of get a thicker skin when you get through that sort of a thing. So when it came round to the situation of losing my father, I genuinely do believe the experience of the divorce and the hardening of the skin there equipped me a little bit better to deal with that loss. Now, I know that sounds like I'm downgrading my father's death. That's not the case at all. But, you know, genuinely, the sort of person I was when I was married and before I was married, I was very, I don't want to say soft, but I've always, even now, to these days, even, like I kind of wear my heart on my sleeve, more or less. I think the loss of my father, if I hadn't gone through the divorce, I think it would have been much more of a destructive thing to happen to me in my life. I got into right around that time, just before he passed, I got into the video production side of things, and I tend to use that, even these days, I use that as like a coping mechanism. You know, if I'm feeling down or stressed about anything, I'll stick the camera on, record a video, I'll go and get then huge events. I was doing, well, not huge events, like I was doing some event videography at that stage, and I actually had a gig that I was putting together on the computer when all this went down, and literally dove into that and just went hardcore on it, just to keep the mind occupied. So that's, you know, that entered me into the learning, the self-learning thing, for not just the wedding videography and event videography, like the short film content and stuff like that. There, it's just I started learning absolutely everything. It gave me the motivation to get into something to keep the mind occupied, and of course that helped as well whenever I lost my mother. And you know, there's no silver lining on losing parents. It's one of the worst things you'll ever go through, but the other stuff has really worked out for the best for me in the long run. Now, I have said before, me and the ex-wife have a very good relationship at the moment. We're friends. We don't go out of our way to see each other, but when we do, we'll stop and talk, and if I need her, she'll be there, and if she needs me, I'll be there, sort of thing, just as friends. That's where we're at. But that experience gave me the basis to write the short film conclusions that I made. So that's the good that came from that situation. The whole thing with the church I was part of, and that whole experience, and just seeing how it all went down, and just the way, not just me, but so many other people were treated, has actually inspired me to write a series, a feature series I want to call it, that, you know, I don't think I actually have the ability to make, 'cause it's just that flipping big at the moment. It's looking like a 10-part series of hour-long shorts, a series essentially. It's called Masquerade, and I'll be updating that on the Patreon at some point. So, you know, a lot of the massive creative things that I've done, I'm currently doing, where I'm aiming for in the future, has all came from curveballs. The divorce, the loss of the parents taking me into that religious environment, that experience leading me into yet more indie projects. And you know, it's just, when I see a curveball coming now, I'm kind of, oh, here we go, what am I going to do now, where's this going to lead me? It's only good can come from a curveball, believe it or not. Essentially, that's what I've learned over the last probably 14-15 years at this point, since the marriage and that one. So curveballs, 9 times out of 10, if you see that wave coming at you and you like, let's go boys, just ride that wave, see where it takes you, and keep a positive mindset. You never know what's going to happen. Now, the last thing that happened to me there was a very close friend of mine. Turns out he was sliding into the DMs of someone very, very special to me that he shouldn't have been doing. So there was a huge curveball right there. I did not see that one coming, so that's why I've been kind of not as active over the last couple of weeks. I kind of just, like a curveball blindside you sometimes, and you sort of have to just, you know, take on what's happened and deal with it as best you can and sort out the situation to something that, you know, you need to do you. You know, I can give you a little bit of advice here, but you know, everybody is different. You'll handle things in a different way. I've handled it as best I can right now at the moment, and it's just one of these things where it's just a real backstabbing curveball that just gosh, I was just so frustrated that it happened. I didn't even really want to talk about it in this video, but when I'm on the subject of this sort of thing, it's just, you need to be ready for absolutely anything that's going to come your way. It's just, as I said at the beginning of the video, once you think you've got it all worked out and you know, life's not going to take you down, you know, once you get into that arrogant state of mind, there's just something about the universe, and you call it karma, whatever you want to call it, there's something out there that's going to look at you and your situation, and if you're getting too big for your boots, it's going to beat your ass ever so slightly. So I'm very much aware of that, and I'm trying to bring that more into the style of the videos and the subjects that I'm covering and the way that I cover them. Like, it just, you know, back 10 years ago or so, if the situation happened to me then, which would happen to me this year, then, you know, the beginning of the year, then 5 days ago, seeing the true repercussions of what happened with this friend, I would have went off and on social media, the whole works, just blasting everything, just, you know, putting that negativity out into the universe does no good for nobody, and chances are you start that stuff is going to bring another curveball at you. So I tend not to I've said here that it's bothered me, but on the surface, you meet me in the street right now, you're going to see the happy-go-lucky, smile in the face person that I'm trying to be every day, and that's just life. It's just, you learn this stuff as you go along. So the big advice is, if you see a curveball coming, something happens you're not prepared for, it is going to happen. You know, don't be stupid and thinking that you're one of these people that's untouchable. You know, no one's untouchable at the end of the day. You know, so it's something that's going to happen. Everybody, like, take the loss of the parents, for example. We all have that to look forward to. Unfortunately, so many people still have that to go through. It's a devastating experience, and one that I haven't really got over to this day. But you know, and the way that I've dealt with a few things in the past week or so has all came from advice that my father once gave me as a small child. And you know, that advice was, you know, once someone shows you that the respect they have for you is that big, you just turn and you walk away. If people can't respect you and respect your boundaries and the sort of person that you are, there's no basis for friendship there. So yes, that's a bit of a tangent, kind of went off on one, but you know, I think it's all good advice at the end of the day. So if there's anything in this video that hit home to you, let me know in the comments section below the video. And if you're listening to the podcast, please hit that subscribe or follow button, whatever it is. Give me a little rating and review, and feel free to let me know how I can do this stuff better for you. Anyway, gotta go, guys. I have to get up at stupid o'clock in the morning to go to work. So take care of yourselves, and I'll talk to you in the next episode.